thought-provoking, opinionated, and hopefully inspiring. A show created for women, by women, and the men in their lives. Today's drink, let's
Yes,
see.
made by you, Patty.
It's made by me, but you got to taste it first and tell me what you think is in it.
What did she say? Raspberries.
Yeah, raspberries.
I definitely
Raspberry.
taste honey.
It's a
Oh yeah, there is some.
Yeah, it's a Chambord pink teeny made with Chambord, which is a raspberry liqueur, honey vodka, and lime juice, and of course fresh raspberries. Honey vodka.
That's so
and
cool.
I
There's so
cut
many
it.
different vodkas.
And I cut it with a little bit of club soda, so it's not as strong.
That is
I don't get the
very
honey,
nice.
but
So
Oh, I
by
know.
the,
Do
by
you
the
like
end
the
of
honey
this, we'll
vodka?
still be able to speak
Yeah,
coherently.
I
definitely.
taste the honey right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like the most.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We like to say that we are Connecticut's version of The View, right?
Right.
However,
However.
there's a few things that we're not like The View. Number one, we try very hard not to talk over each other, right?
Right.
And number two, we would never,
Let's talk over her.
ever diss a nurse.
Yeah. Here we go.
What was she thinking?
Well,
She wasn't thinking.
you know, I don't know if anybody knows this is the story if they don't follow The View, but apparently after the Miss America pageant, one of the contestants, as their talent, did a monologue on her being a nurse. And the next day they made a comment about, yeah, what costume was she wearing with the stethoscope?
Oh,
and
the doctor's
Yeah.
The
stethoscope.
doctor's stethoscope.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Kate.
so then, of course there's emails that went crazy. You know, don't diss nurses. Yes, we do have
Social media,
stethoscopes, this and that.
yeah.
But honestly, I'm taking it from as a performance coach. You know, I'm an acting teacher, and I think what they were referring to was that as a performance, because they were saying it looks like she was reading an email, like there was no drama in there. But I think the nurses everywhere took it as they were dissing nurses. There might have been a little piece in there,
But that
and they did
piece,
apologize.
that piece of the pageant, it doesn't have to be acting, right?
Well, it does. Well,
it has to be
to be a talent.
A talent.
And her talent was doing a dramatic monologue. And like one of them said, it looked like she was just reading emails. You know, there was no drama in there.
Wasn't she, as her talent, describing her talent
her
as
talent
a nurse?
as a nurse, yes,
So it
that's
didn't,
how.
I wouldn't have thought it needed to be dramatic, but
It's
in the
supposed to be-
context of
okay,
the
she was next to opera singers.
Yeah.
She was in between an opera singer and a violinist, you know, and dancer.
Monotone.
It was very
It's all
monotone.
in delivery,
Yeah.
but she is a nurse, and
Right.
if you listen to what she described, what she does can be very somber and sobering, and I think that
the
was
message,
part of it.
The message was clear, and it was, and obviously nurses took offense. They weren't seeing it as you guys weren't.
Yeah.
You weren't seeing it as a performance.
That it should have been a
But
performance,
really,
yeah.
it was a performance. It was supposed to be a performance.
Well, you know, The View lost a lot of sponsorships over there too, you know, and they've
Wow.
been on a bumpy road ever since. So we're going to fill that void, ladies,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, we're ready. Bring it on.
we're there.
We have some special guests on the show today, but I want to talk quickly about the subject of the BRCA gene and having prophylactic mastectomies.
very much in the news.
It's very much in the news, and I'm a breast cancer survivor, and you know, you're faced with things, you just don't know what to do. What is your take on this, especially you? You're a nurse.
I would probably do a prophylactic double mastectomy. I
Yeah.
would. I think that. Let me just say this. Luckily, no one in my family has ever been impacted by breast cancer. I know a few people in extended family that have been. But I would do it as a prophylactic measure. I think the risks of not doing it would far outweigh the risk of doing it.
Do you think Angelina Jolie, by going so public with her double mastectomy, and she'd lost a grandmother and a mother to breast cancer, has had a positive effect on people making choices?
I think so. I think so.
I
I think she's giving women the option to say, you know
Yeah.
what, this doesn't lessen your sexuality if this is what you choose to do, and especially if you have a strong family history of this. You know what, you have to think outside the confines of what is physically
Right. And I love the fact
debilitating.
that she is a beautiful icon, you know.
Right.
I mean, she's really the perfect symbol in showing that, you know, cancer is not prejudice. It doesn't matter how you look or what
How
your
much
age.
money in your bank account?
Exactly.
Right.
So I think it's really good.
My manager, Carol, was diagnosed with breast cancer, this past winter. And when she was diagnosed, and it was just a small tumor in one breast. And she said, what should I do? And I said, cut them both off. And she has a history of breast cancer. So, and she said, no, I love my boobs. And I was like, whatever, okay. And she ended up with a double mastectomy. And luckily, in the clear, no radiation, no chemo. We're very hopeful and celebrating this October. Cheers to good health, Carol. You're extremely strong and awesome, but it's very scary.
How many years have you been out?
21. It was just 21 years.
Cheers to 21 years,
Any excuse to
Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, so
There was,
it's really something to be said about it. I was very young when I had been diagnosed. I was 35 years old, and you just don't know which way to go.
Was it in your family?
My mother had it, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but at the time, I wasn't even going for mammograms yet. I was so young,
so
and I
young,
didn't know,
yeah.
and it was never caught on a mammogram. So,
There was a posting on Facebook about the SCAR project. I don't know if you guys had seen that this morning, but it actually is a gallery. They're doing it's an art thing, pictures that they're actually featuring at a museum, at an art gallery, of women who have gone through mastectomies, not necessarily the reconstructive surgery afterwards. Now, I'm curious about why you wouldn't choose to have reconstructive surgery if that's an option. Is it a financial situation where insurance wouldn't pay for that?
And is it always
Or
an option?
Is it? I don't know enough about that. But these pictures,
I can tell you,
were-
with me, when I was going through the option of treatment and all, in order for me to go through and have reconstruction, I had to go through my insurance company, and they kept arguing with me, telling me that it was
not medically
it wasn't
necessary.
medically necessary, that
man.
it was just for show or whatever. And I said
That
to
was
them,
20 years ago, too.
and I said to them, well, if your arm was cut off, is it something that it's cosmetic at
another
that
arm.
point? Are you going to put another arm on, or what are you going to do? The thing is that was going on during the stress and the trauma of trying to deal with having cancer and being in shock, and trying to make all these decisions.
Right.
So,
That's scary.
yeah, it is scary, So, it's just one of those things. But we have some interesting guests here today in the theme of breast cancer, and we'll be able to bring them on in a short period of time.
Talk more about that, absolutely. And you were saying something about, is there too much pink?
Oh, we all know that pink is the color of breast cancer
we like
awareness.
Pink is the color
and
of
we
pink
do that.
martinis.
But I think it's gone a little too far when I go by and I see garbage cans that are pink.
Wait, did you see the new pink
I'm not big into
police
pink.
car
I don't
in
like pink.
New Haven, I think? I don't
No,
know.
I haven't.
Pink
There's
police
a-
cars?
There's a pink police
It's
car.
supposed to be awareness, but it's also a fundraiser. And I don't think everybody who's putting pink on everything is donating
Fundraising.
to
Oh.
Yeah,
it.
that's
And
it.
I think that's the problem. And I think it's a marketing ploy by some companies to make it appear that they're doing that, but they're really not.
I think
Yeah.
that was evidenced by the Ice Bucket Challenge, that most people that were doing the Ice Bucket Challenge also probably knew very little about the cause and probably weren't donating to
Ah.
it. So there
Although
probably
it created
is.
so much awareness.
It did
that
create
really
awareness, but
changed.
I think that, I don't know that everyone
Although I
is
don't mind,
directly
'cause I love
affected by
pink.
pink.
I love
don't.
it when
Do you tell with our glasses and everything?
mixers
I
came
don't.
out, pink kitchen appliances, love it.
I've never been a pink type of girl.
No,
Oh, really?
pink girl.
No.
I
And,
guess
and
I'm
to
the pink
just
one.
and to just move on for a little bit, have you seen where they want to change the handicap signs to reserved?
Oh, you brought one with you.
I brought the picture. It's
Yeah.
a little hard to
I
see.
don't.
But
I disagree. It looks like it's a Special Olympics. We'll have to talk about that a little bit
We'll have
later.
to talk about
Yeah.
it
And then
another
back up
time.
again.
Just so we can let them
Yeah.
know, they're changing from handicap to reserved.
Reserved.
So they're not
It's only the
using-
sign, but
They
it's
don't
the
want to use
language.
the word
It's the language.
handicap, right.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll
We'll
come
just
back.
come back in
So
a few
we'll be
minutes.
back shortly.
And we're back. I'd like to introduce our very special guests today. We have Pat Laurie and Karen Jacobowitz. Pat is the director and producer of a movie called Cancer Seriously, and Karen is one of the women who actually allowed Pat to follow her around for a couple of years with this. I'd like to first start off with Pat. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Cancer Seriously is and how it got started?
Sure. So Cancer Seriously is really an honest, hopeful, but it's also a very heartbreaking film. And it documents 6 breast cancer survivors in Connecticut and the journey that they go through after they're diagnosed with breast cancer. This all came about when a friend of mine in Guilford was riding along in the car with me and said, "Oh, do you know Melissa Burns? She raised money. She wants to do a documentary. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she's looking for someone to produce this film." And I'm a producer and director by trade, and so I said, "Oh, I have to meet this woman." And so as it turned out, she lived practically behind my house in Guilford, 2 homes behind me, and her husband and I shared the same office building on the green, and so it was just sort of like, you know, the universe was coming together to say, yes, we should do
And you
this
had never
film.
met?
We had never met. And so we met probably a couple of days after that. She told me about this idea. Let's just, you know, interview some breast cancer survivors. I have this support group, and then maybe we'll interview some experts, and we'll, you know, wrap it all together into a neat little news-style package. And so I thought, yeah, I could do that. But as the process went through, and as I attended these support group meetings, we started meeting very interesting people like Karen, who's sitting next to me. And we thought, well, we can't just do a news-style story. We really want to do a fly-on-the-wall documentary where we follow these women through their doctor's appointments, through their you know, reconstruction, through many of the different issues that they face. So we go in and out of the support group meetings, which take place about once a month at Melissa's home, and that's where we meet interesting people like Karen.
It was very intimate. It's a beautiful, beautiful film.
So
And
it's
how,
more than just reality TV, it's real TV.
Oh, it's as real as it
Real
gets.
It's
show.
raw,
Yeah.
and it is real. And one of the things that struck me about Karen when I first met her, you know, she was sort of like, she's very spunky, and you could just tell. She's wearing these hot pink pants, which you can't see right now, but she's really spunky, and she had this spirit, and she was kind of like a, you know, I don't want to say like a close talker, but she was like, sort of like in your face, and I thought, yes, we need somebody like that in the film. And
And
Karen
how-
surprises us.
With Karen, but how did you pick all of the women for the show?
Well,
For
you
the-
know,
for the film?
and there were many people that were in the support group, and you know, it was very difficult. But we wanted to showcase different areas that people were going through. For example, Heather was diagnosed when she was trying to become pregnant, and so we wanted to delve into the fertility issues and how that's affected when you have a breast cancer diagnosis. We have Rose, who was a 3-time breast cancer survivor. We thought that was very fascinating. You know, what is her life like being diagnosed 3 times? How does she find the courage and the strength and to carry on? So, you know, everyone had an interesting story. Melissa Burns, you know, very interesting. She was 19 weeks pregnant when she was diagnosed with her 2nd child, and she had to go through chemotherapy while being pregnant.
And
So
it's a funny story. It's a small world because I actually met Melissa while I was in the hospital being treated for cellulitis, and so was she, and that's how I met her. You know, while she had just had her baby and she was just going through all the processes and the procedures and all of that. Yeah.
it was truly shocking to me to learn that someone could go through chemotherapy while being pregnant. I thought
I didn't know that.
that would damage the child,
Yeah.
you know, and everything was fine. Knock on wood, everything was just fine with that situation.
Now, Karen, what was your motivation for participating in the film?
I want to help others, so it was a good excuse for me to join in. I mean, the support group that Melissa ran was the best thing that ever happened to me. Without that support group, it'd be really hard to get through everything I've been through.
And how did you find out about the support group?
The hospital, when Melissa was really active and we had the support group going, she had flyers up at Yale.
Okay.
And I called because I had gone to a Yale support group, and it wasn't any good because it was a lot of old women, and it just, they don't have the same issues, body image and stuff like that, and the way you
Oh.
look.
Like, having children, dating,
Yeah.
Right.
all the stuff that doesn't go hand in hand really with someone who might be 75 or 80 years old being diagnosed.
So they weren't a lot of young people. It just wasn't comfortable. It did nothing for me. But Melissa's group I did everything to get to each meeting. It was
So
amazing.
where did you do her meetings? Was it
At
in
her
the
house in
hospital?
Guilford.
That makes a difference, I think, too.
Oh my
having
God,
at
it was
home.
Well, out of the
just
hospital setting,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to be there anymore
It
if
was
you don't
just-
have to.
wonderful. It helped me so much. So I like to give back too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, how are you doing with getting the film distributed for the public to see?
Well, we had the premiere of Cancer Seriously this spring at the Madison Arts Cinemas, and then we had an encore showing in June, and sold out both times. It was fascinating, and it was really heartwarming to see everybody come out, and the support that we received was really overwhelming. We've been trying to get the film distributed on a wider basis, and it's very competitive out there. I mean, you would think that even the local, CPTV or someone like that would want to show it because it features Connecticut women.
Yeah.
But there are other programming, opportunities that they have. Other breast cancer documentaries, or perhaps there's a little duplication there. So it's just not as easy as you think.
What can our viewers do to help you?
Well, viewers can go to cancerseriously.strikingly.com. I know it's a mouthful. Go on there and you can see the full trailer. You can learn about ways to help get the word out. You can also learn a lot about other issues to date that other people are facing when it comes to breast cancer and the latest information. Or you can also like us on Facebook. And there I would really encourage you to learn about all the characters because they are fascinating.
The characters.
You post the Facebook page. I watch because I'm on social media quite a bit, probably more than I should be. But you post some great facts and articles about metastatic breast cancer, cancer in general.
Yeah, Melissa Burns
is that
is
who's
still
running the Facebook
very
page? She's
yeah,
doing
she's
it.
running
Okay.
the Facebook page, and she's
Uh-huh.
really instrumental in getting all that
Yeah.
information out to
It's
everybody.
very educational. I love it.
It's a passion of hers, and so she's really been such a great representative for all of us.
For some of people who are watching this, they may not know what metastatic breast cancer is. So why don't you, or Karen, why don't you just explain it briefly?
Okay, metastatic means uncurable breast cancer. It's when it spreads, to another part of your body from the original diagnosis. Where mine was breast, and it spread to my bones, and now kind of to my brain and skull. And so it's uncurable. But a lot of people, which the world doesn't understand, you can live with it as long as you handle the treatments. And that's something the world just doesn't understand.
I didn't know that, to be honest
Metastatic.
with you, until just now.
Yeah, no, I think the film not only is very touching and very intimate, it really sheds a lot of light and information. I think it's a really, really important film. How long did it take you from
Oh
beginning
boy,
to end?
okay. So we started shooting in 2009, and the film just got released last spring. So you can see how long it takes, because we did follow the women for 2.5 years.
But that's nice, though, because you can really see the
You really do see the evolution of their process.
What were one of the more difficult aspects of surviving afterwards?
Well, there's a lot of side effects, side effects from the maintenance medication that you're on, intimacy issues, body image issues, other, lymphedema.
Right, that's a
There's
big
just so
one.
many other issues that people aren't aware of, and I think, this really brings the real, raw story to light.
Yeah.
Right.
You've been diagnosed
Real
with
life.
breast cancer, you've been treated with chemo, and when the treatment ends, a lot of the other effects
Are still
Right.
going on?
Stay-
And
still
real
stay
quick
with
too,
you.
I'm glad that you brought the cameras into their homes so you can see the dynamics of the family and the husbands and whatnot and the whole dynamics of it. It's a great film. I think everybody needs to see
Well,
it.
what we're going to do is we'll put the information up on our Facebook page and on the website for you to be able to take a look at the trailer and everything else. And in the meantime, I'd like to thank our guests very
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Very
I really
enlightening.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you very
Good luck
much.
with
for
the
having
film.
us.
Yeah, thank you. And welcome back to Just Saying. We wanted to talk a little bit about our mailbox this week. We'll be putting some questions out for you to answer, and we're really looking forward to hearing those comments that you have. If we use your questions on the show, you will be receiving one of our signature wine glasses. So ask away, people. We're so excited today to have Neil Fuentes, the singing chef, on our show. And he can sing, and he can dance, and he can do everything.
He can cook.
But
That's
he
the
can
best thing.
cook.
Yes, I can.
You can. So before we go into all about you,
Yeah.
tell us what we have here.
Well, we have the national Venezuelan bread. This is what we eat for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for snack. You know, if you're at 10 o'clock at night and you're hungry, your mom says, yeah, well, whatever, the arepas are right there. Go ahead and get them. So this is what we...
I love it. I got to do this.
Yeah, so what happens is normally any mother will get up very early in the morning at 7 and make about 25 of these and leave it on the counter. And then all throughout the day, people just come, grab one, stuff it with whatever they want, quick, go, go, go. It's a quick snack. It's gluten-free because it is corn. There's no wheat flour at all in here. So easy to make, and the versatility of this product is the fact that you can fry it, you can boil it, you can bake it, you can stuff it and boil it, you can stuff it and bake it, you can stuff it and fry it. So you can do so many things with it.
But
that
can
are
I teach
amazing.
my kids to make it so I don't have to
Yes,
make it?
it's very, because
my
it's very
husband.
easy. Actually, it's the easiest thing in the world. Is the flour and water. Mix it, and that's it. And then you make it into these little things, and then you put it in the oven.
So it's kind of like a pizza, like Italian. We have the pizza
Yeah,
dough.
but
All
it's
right.
like a pocket. It's like a pita bread.
So show us how you eat it, 'cause
what you do
that's-
is
yeah.
you grab your arepa, right, just like that, and that's why I brought your knife, and you open it just like a pita bread, just like this. See?
Okay.
Just
I'll have
like
a
that,
knife.
and it opens like a pocket.
Oh.
And then you grab whatever you want, whether it's cheese or whatever you have in the house. It could be chicken leftovers. It could be. These are great for Thanksgiving. Because you have all those damn leftovers. And then you just make a bunch of this and people can get, they get to stuff it with whatever they want.
And it's like
Okay.
the perfect size.
It is, well, normally they're not this size. I made it this size because, this is a little girl show. It's a girl's day out.
Would you look
So I
at
wanted
us?
to make it
We
nice and cute.
He doesn't know us too well,
Right, I
Patty.
wanted to make it nice and cute, so that's the idea.
Oh, this is great. So, like, you make them all
Yeah.
different
We
sizes.
make it
you
about
make-
this size normally,
Ah,
yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're my grandmother, and then she used to make them like this size. And then she used to cut them like a pizza.
Oh,
See what I mean?
back to the
So,
pizza thing.
yeah. But this is the modern era of arepa because now the flour is already made. But before, when my mom was growing up, which is who I learned to cook with,
Yes.
it was funny because it was a mortar, right? You know, when a mortar, well, but it was this size.
Okay.
So it would be two
Oh, it was
ladies,
big.
one on each side, right, with the big things, and they would put the corn in here, and then they come the guys with the drums,
No.
and then the ladies, boom, boom, boom,
some fun with this,
grinding
yeah.
that
So it became
corn onto
entertainment.
big, yeah. Well, that's how I grew up, music and food, and that's why I'm the singing chef.
He is a singing chef. Now, how did you get known to be the singing chef?
Well, my first love has always been entertainment. I always wanted to be an actor and a singer and a dancer. But back in the 70s, with a mom like mine, working in a farm, basically it was very difficult. She did not like the fact that I liked that. She wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. Typical story. So, me as the rebel, so I left the country. You know what? Let me do what I want. I'm leaving the country. So I become a flight attendant for 3 years first.
That's smart, but you get paid to leave the country.
Right, go
There you
all
go.
over the world, 47 countries around the world, and get to try every freaking ingredient possible out there. And then I meet who is now my ex-boyfriend, who is from Connecticut. And that was how I moved into Connecticut.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, so I started working as a dancer for an entertainment company.
You did, huh?
Yes.
What kind of dance?
I did about 755 bar mitzvahs, weddings. I was the YMCA kind of guy in every freaking party. It was crazy. I started working in restaurants at the same time, and it was great. Started as a waiter, and then I started doing private parties, and then it came to the point when customers will come to me and say, "I want to do a party." Okay, what kind of party do you want to do? I want to do a Chinese party. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. So I started cooking Asian food and all this food for private events. That's how I kind of self-trained
Yeah.
on that. So I spent 12 years in a company called SBC Restaurants.
Yes, we're familiar with that here.
Yes, I spent 12 years with them as their director of catering. And then in 2009, doing an event for them, the people from Channel 8 were there, and I was singing and I was cooking. And like a month later, I get a phone call in my house. Hey, is this Chef Neil? Yes. Would it be possible for you to do a segment here with us tomorrow? And I said, yeah, sure. I go, I go, "Babe!" Bill is my husband, by the way. So I showed up in the studio dressed like Ricky Ricardo, with the ruffles and everything, and I go, they call me Cuban cook. I'm the king of the Latin food. When I start to cook, everything go chick, chicky, boom, chick, chicky, boom.
And that's how it started.
And the history was made.
And that was it. So far, 90 episodes.
90
Uncle
episodes,
Ricky.
right?
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yes. And now you're on to something new.
Well, a lot of things new because thanks to Connecticut Style, and I'm so grateful to them. They put me on the radar, so I get a campaign for Sabra Hummus. So I get to do 7 commercials for Sabra Hummus.
Wow.
That was a great experience. And the same casting director for that was the casting director for Chopped on Food Network, so I get to participate in the
Love
show.
Chopped.
Did you do
Chopped.
Chopped? Wait, you did it? Oh, I want to see. That's my favorite show.
Yeah, but I got chopped.
They need an amateur chop for me, like the mama cook chop.
I got chopped and I chopped my finger off time because I seem to have a lot of experience chopping my finger.
Oh my goodness.
But you got to be on it.
Yeah, it was
That's
great. It was a
exciting.
great experience. So
Is it up on YouTube? We
It
can
is
get
on YouTube.
Well, then we'll
All right,
put
we're
that on
gonna
our
get it, yeah.
Facebook page.
But then, at the end of the show, when I get chopped, I say, well, this doesn't stay here. I'm coming back. I don't know how the hell how, but I am coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years later, I got cast for a show called Rewrapped with Joey Fatone. And was in December, and that one I became a Food Network champion. So I did win on the Food Network fight.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
so
wonderful.
it's been a great thing. That's how the singing chef. And then I was fortunate enough to work at a restaurant called Jojoto here in Bradford.
Yes.
Yes.
I was there for a year. I helped him out open the restaurant.
Oh
helped
my
him out
God, the best
create
short
it.
ribs on the planet.
Yes,
Oh.
and then now I get to leave and then continue to fulfill my dream since my husband and I just had the cutting of the ribbon of our first Academy of Performing
That
Arts.
was
Yes.
this
Oh.
weekend.
Yeah,
though.
this
is it?
weekend, in Saturday, yeah. just
In New
one hour.
Haven?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
in
in
East
East
Haven,
Haven,
yeah.
East
So he's a
Haven.
vocal
Nice.
coach. I'm doing the acting coaching and I'm producing musicals, and it's been great.
Well, you know what? We can't thank you enough for coming on the
Yeah,
show
you're
today.
so wonderful.
Well,
We're
one
happy
quick
to
question.
go.
What's your, I mean, you cook a lot of different things, but is there something that's your specialty?
Not really.
No?
Not really.
Just a little of everything.
Food is about having fun. That's it.
I hope you don't
You
mind if
are
I eat.
beautiful.
Go ahead.
yeah.
Okay, let's
Go
try
for it.
this
Yeah.
and see what we're
This is
doing.
beautiful.
Yeah, come on over,
Yeah, go
everybody.
ahead.
Come on over.
I'm
Let's
gonna
try
try
it.
the cocktails.
Oh yeah, the cocktail.
I know what those
That's
taste
a
like.
pink teeny. Yes. We have to
Like
come to
this
the
and that,
party.
yeah.
Oh, this is
Yeah,
good.
great. So what do we have? We have the takeaways now,
Oh,
right?
it's delicious.
This is
Live
amazing.
your dream, I think is the biggest takeaway from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
it's
stay on passion.
to live your life with
And don't
passion.
confine
that's what
yourself
it's
to a
all
box.
And don't compromise. Do what you love.
Yeah,
Because when
have
you do what you
fun. Do
love,
anything.
it's not work.
It's very simple. Don't give up, what people think of you. Just do
So you're
what you
telling
have to
me
do.
that I could be on the Food Network because I'm a
Absolutely.
great cook.
Whatever
Laura
you mind
Giada.
and create, you can do.
Thank you so much,
You're
Neil.
very
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Cheers.
Woo!
Woo!
Here we go.
all our
And
guests
to
today.
all of our guests
Pat,
today.
Lori, and Karen. Thank
Yes,
you so
and
much.
Neil. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much
guys
for
for
being
having me.
here.
Should Neil sing us away?
Yeah,
Neil, sing us
just
away.
saying. Come on.
When marimba rhythm starts to play, dance with me, make me sway like a lazy ocean off the shore. Hold me close, sway me more. It's time to drink.
Love it. It's so great. Here's to everybody at
Salud.
Just Saying. Thank you very much.